My name is Gustavo Garnica. We are at Cosme, a restaurant in New York City. It's a restaurant by Chef Enrique Olvera. We've been here for 9 years this October, and we're inspired by Mexican heritage and the Hudson Valley. What makes the menu unique, I think, is the fact that we combine these two very interesting things, which is, for me, Mexican cooking, the history of Mexican gastronomy, and the richness that the Hudson Valley has. It's been amazing coming from other parts of the world and see how rich actually things are in New York, what things grow here in the markets, and how much work both the people cooking and the farmers put in what they do. One of the things that we do in Mexico is we do understand a lot of what the herb provides, all the vegetables, and we know how to work with them. You know, we can make very flavorful dishes with just mostly vegetables. Also, people who doesn't have a lot of produce around, proteins around, or animals, we have built the Mexican gastronomy around the farming system called Milpa too, which it's just that, you know, vegetables, feeding vegetables that give back to the ground, and everything that goes around on the crops, all is usable, all is edible, and we always find some kind of use for it. Yeah, I think people have become, especially after the pandemic, people have become more conscious about what they want to eat. Probably not looking for like a big, heavy, long meal, concerned about their health, about their wellness. They've been looking for something fresh and lighter. You see a lot of people going into the market, getting their own vegetables. Even people will have the possibilities of growing things at home, they will do it, and just take care a little more care about what they're eating and what they're consuming. You can see that in the dining scene as well. A lot of proposals of plant-forward menus, and a lot of chefs also driving to move that forward with very good options, very good proposals. There are things particular to Mexican cooking that they're not always available in other parts of the world. But I think there are very interesting flavors in things like herbs. These quelites, which are all the herbs that run around the crops that usually are there to keep insects or some things away. But those plants, they start to develop their own flavors as well, and they could become interesting ingredients for chefs to use. I love verdolagas, which are purslanes. I love quintonil. Pipicha is an herb that we find right now with one of our Mexican farmers, purveyors. They're just things that are unique to Mexico, and really, in my case, they remind me of home. So it's a little nostalgic element over there. I think one thing that we could do in Mexico, like do or not to do, is not to overdo it. I think that's one of the key things. Just respect the things, you know. There's nothing worse than like overcooked vegetables, I guess. So I think also that's part of the movement right now, learning how to properly cook and use vegetables so they're not, so they're still tasty, they're still fresh, and they give you what you need to get. Some ways that we use the vegetables here at Cosme, we use them in stocks. We have a stock made out of just vegetables. So instead of using chicken stock or like a veal stock, it's a stock that made with vegetables, with scraps of vegetables. We roast them, we put them in the pot, let them cook for a while, trying to concentrate flavors. The same thing that French cuisine does with some of the proteins. We try to take that approach. Then we use those stocks to cook the vegetables in it. We have a kohlrabi dish that gets poached in one of these stocks, just trying to incorporate more vegetable flavor into the vegetables, and playing with different ideas too. Maybe the vegetable, it's a root, and we're trying to put it on a stock that has a lot of fresh herb flavors in it, or an infusion of herbs, just to try to play with the flavors. So in the Cosme kitchen, we have about 7 or 8 cooks on any given service. We have somebody that's pressing tortillas by hand for every single guest, and we can sit around 180 people at a time, and some nights we end up doing about 280 covers. We have a little pastry department as well, and a crew in the morning that help us with the heavy prep, like cleaning vegetables, slicing, grilling, all those kind of things, picking the herbs, kind of tasks that take a little while. Since we opened Cosme and since going back to Mexico working with Chef Enrique, producing our own masa, it was an important part. We partnered with this company, Hacienda, who's bringing heirloom corn from Mexico. They have taken the task of really make sure these kind of heirloom grains don't get lost, supporting the communities and making sure it's a very fair trade. They get to keep whatever corn they want to, and then the rest is up for Hacienda to distribute. We get that corn here weekly, and we do our own nixtamal, which is the process of breaking down the protein on the corn so we can digest it and process it into masa. We grind it in our own stone mill in the kitchen, and then, like I said, we have a crew of beautiful ladies downstairs that work with the masa and make tortillas, tostadas, tlayudas, tamales, and all the magic. One of the important things that I think chefs should do is get involved in the process of how things get to the restaurant, and including vegetables or the corn for us, which is the pillar of everything. It's very important for us to be involved in every step of the process so we understand it and we can take care of it. Advice for new cooks and chefs: well, I think the most obvious is don't overcook it. Don't overcook the vegetables, and I think that just understanding the process of how things get done. When you understand how much it takes to grow something, to harvest, to bring over to the restaurant, I think you start understanding how to treat the ingredients that you work with. And I also said trust your gut. You know, if you think this is something that it might work, or this is something that you don't think it work, just trust your gut. And things like vegetables are pretty good at telling you how to treat them and how to go with them. I think the Hudson Valley and Mexico relate to each other because it's a lot of hardworking people to start. We have built great relationships with farmers that really care about what they do. There's also a lot of immigrant workers here in the farms that we can relate to personally. And we have a farm, for example, in New Jersey that is starting to grow in hoja santa, which is a herb very particular to Mexico. And because the crew working the farm are Mexican, they completely understand how important it is, how to take care of it. And we were really proud of that kind of collaboration and see a native plant of Mexico being grown here in the farm. I think they complement each other in that way, you know, like things that probably are not over there that we can bring over, and things that we usually don't have over there that are already here. I think that's the thing. New York has pretty clear and short seasons, I think. Once you get into winter and it's hard to get fresh things. I think going into things like pickling and preserving, some things that I learned from working with some Scandinavian cultures, Scandinavian chefs, they have that challenge, and I think that's something that we could all learn. Not everybody has the blessing of a beautiful weather like in Mexico or in the South. So I think start thinking about things like that, how you preserve the flavors of summer or the flavors for spring for when things are not around. I think that's a valuable skill that chefs and people should develop. What got us excited right now is people taking care and interested in flavors. We know we have worked with this company called Row 7 that they go even back to the seeds, how we make tastier, healthier vegetables, trying to move away from the crops of GMO and monocultivos? Monocultures, exactly. Just things like that. People actually interested in vegetables, how we make a tasty vegetable again, how we just not think of things coming out of factories or cans. People moving their focus into that, moving their focus on what's sustainable, on how we're gonna make this last. You know, there's only more people in the planet, but the size of the planet is still the same. So things like that, how people start shifting their mind into how to make it work and healthy for everybody. I think that's what really got us excited.